Hi, I'm Patrick.
And I'm Liv.
And this is the Mach-E vlog. And that's our Mach-E behind us, but this video is not about that.
No. This video is about our new EV. So let's go. If you don't know us, then we should let you know. We've had our Mach-E since the beginning. This is our second Mach-E. We reserved the Mach-E when it was revealed at the LA Auto Show in 2019. This was our first EV, and we've been looking for a second EV for me to replace an old ICE vehicle that I had. There are noisy ICE vehicles around here. You probably can't hear them because our mics are pretty good, hopefully. But we were borrowing a Leaf from Kyle Connor for a year, which was really, really awesome. It's a 2012 Leaf. We had a great time with it. He had to take that back in October. It's November now, and we've been looking for a new EV. We have it. We have it right here. Lucifer Tucifer has a sibling.
Should we make you wait till the end of the video for the reveal? Nah, that's not us. We're gonna go ahead. And there it is.
Ta-da! Revealing our new Chevy Equinox EV, 2024 Chevy Equinox EV, name to be determined. Nominate your name right here. I don't know what we're gonna call it.
She's been calling it EV Shaka. She's normally Liv Shaka on a lot of social media if you want to find her. But EV Shaka is what its name is in the app. But we wanted to introduce you to this, sort of tell you about our plans for doing video content on it, but also explain, if we're the Mach-E vlog, why did we get an Equinox as our second EV? So we're gonna dive into that, but first, let's just take a quick overview of this 2024 Equinox EV 2LT.
I love standing here between our two blue cars. It's super, super weird. We literally leased it a week ago and then I got food poisoning. So it hasn't even sunk in properly to me. But here it is, our 2024 2LT Equinox EV. This thing is front wheel drive. It gets 319 miles of range. Pretty much the same charging speed as the Mach-E. We're gonna go into so much stuff about this. You guys will have to let us know what you're interested in. We will probably be putting stuff on our other channel, which we will share about later.
Actually, we should say right now, it's EV Explorer. Check the description. We need people to subscribe so that we can get 1,000 subscribers so that one can get monetized and we can put a bunch of stuff that's not specifically Mach-E, but we'll keep the Mach-E vlog Mach-E plus some, but it'd be nice to get some subscribers, so please subscribe. EV Explored.
Yes, indeed. EV Explored, we've had that channel for ages. It's really hard to manage more than one channel when you have 2 full-time jobs, all that stuff. But we really want to share about this. You guys have to let us know what you want to see on the Mach-E vlog because we got this for us. We did not get this for content, but there's a ton of content that we will be making because it's a cool EV and I think a lot of you guys are interested in this. So it's sort of hopefully like a win-win for all of us. If you're interested in this, let us know. We're planning a lot, but why don't we hop inside and chat a little bit more about the details and how this all happened.
Welcome to the inside of the Equinox. It's comfy. Like we're gonna sit here and just chat with you guys and explain why, and then some of the financial part, and then any other details.
That sounds good. And we're facing the sun right now, so I don't know if the lighting is weird, but we're gonna roll with it. First thing, by the way, that you might notice is there's no glass roof. And that part of the whole explanation of this is that we wanted an affordable second car. In no way did I think that an affordable second car would be a brand new lease. But let's tell you how it happened. We were borrowing Kyle Connor's Leaf for over a year. It was about a year and a half.
About a year and a half. It was a 2012, had about 50 miles of range.
It was great. It was absolutely perfect. He had to take it back and we had the most amazing time with it. And so then we needed another vehicle. We needed something for me. We thought about everything. There are a lot of used EVs that were really appealing. We looked into Bolts, and I don't know if you guys know, but I love the Bolt, and there are tons of good leasing deals. And
we'll just cover the Bolt and other used EVs first of all. Unfortunately, it seems like specifically where we're at in Southern California, a lot of people, especially dealers, are sort of taking advantage of the fact that there's a $4,000 tax credit for used EVs that are under $25,000 if you are income qualified. And we'll admit we don't qualify for the used tax credit. So then we approach the dealers, and the dealers don't care. Like they're sort of like factoring in the fact that you're going to get a $4,000 tax credit, and I think, in my opinion, overcharging for used EVs out here in California, because they're sort of figuring you're looking at it as like it's a $15,000 car, but I'll get a $4,000 tax credit. It's like $11,000. So, but we don't. So then it's just like, well, can you knock some off because we're not going to get that tax credit, and they don't care because they know the next person at the door will get it. So we didn't necessarily eliminate that immediately, but it was a huge factor in why we decided not to go used.
Yeah, it was definitely a consideration. My preference, if you guys have watched this at all, my preference is used. My old car was 16 years old. We're not cycling through vehicles or anything like that. And when I say 16 years old, sorry, it was a 98 RAV4 that I'd had for 16 years. It was old. It was an old car. I'm fine with that. I love that. There's something nice about having something that's just yours and that doesn't have to be in perfect condition. Never had a lease and would have preferred to be able to buy something. The Bolt is an excellent vehicle, especially, like, let's just roll into this a little bit. This might be a rambling video. There are going to be lots of videos about this. If you have any interest, we'll share everything that we learned and just let us know down below.
And we'll put a chapter if you're just interested about the new leasing comparison.
Yes. So the Bolts are really a fantastic deal, especially if you do income qualify for the used tax credit, because they got new batteries. So between 2017 and I think it was 2022, most of them should have their batteries replaced. So you have basically a new vehicle. What we were also finding when we were looking at used Bolts is that some of the newer ones did not necessarily have the battery replaced, but they had service records. So the high voltage junction box or high voltage battery.
The high voltage battery.
High voltage battery was serviced regularly to make sure that it didn't have the issue. So I didn't feel comfortable with that personally, but like the older ones that had full replacements, you're getting a new battery. It's amazing. We did find a dealer in Kansas, I believe, that was offering 12 to 13,000 on used Bolts. 2017's sight unseen, so you had to like pay for delivery and get it there unless you can go get it. But if you're, in our case, trying to get something budget, going to get it is not necessarily within the finances. So do you want to should we turn around, or are you good?
No, we're sort of good. I was just trying to fix the shadows a little bit.
I know. I don't know how this
If you go down, if you adjust your seat down.
But then my eyes will be blind. But anyway, so we considered a lot of things, and there was potential that we could get a 2017 sight unseen Bolt for around $13,000. If you qualify for the tax credit, you could get that for $9,000. But that's a whole other kettle of fish, isn't it? Is that the saying? Kettle of fish.
No. Let's pause it and we will move just to make it a little bit better.
Okay.
Hopefully this is a better position.
A little less red lighting. So anyways, we were looking into used EVs, of course, Carvana, CarMax, Auto Trader, everything.
And didn't eliminate it completely, but part of the reason we decided to start looking at leases is that we sort of submitted all of our requirements to the not out of spec, the Batteries Included podcast. They do a weekly show on Wednesday mornings to help people find an EV, new or used, that fits their needs. So we submitted it to them to see what they might come up with. And one of the suggestions was to look at leasing and including a Equinox lease. So that's what sort of got us looking at it.
We were looking at EV leasing before. I'd been investigating the Ioniq 5 and in communication with a dealer.
A little, yeah.
So we'd been looking at leasing before. They're great leasing deals. But even when you think, so the Ioniq 5 deal, just by the way, that has been around for a while, is $159 a month, $3,999 down. That's still almost $8,000 for 2 years, right? We'll get into the finances of what we did. But so we'd been looking at leasing deals and everything, but Patrick submitted our request to Batteries Included. Dominique and Martin really considered it well. Martin had a great used idea. Dominique had a great leasing idea and even a specific leasing deal for the Equinox. It was a specific leasing deal. He looked at a dealership near us. If you ever wanted to find, to get good input and good help on finding a good EV that suits you, we encourage you to submit your questions, batteries included, because it really was sweet and helpful and awesome and considerate. And Dominique found this great deal, which we kind of basically took advantage of. And the crazy thing was that at the exact moment that he suggested the Equinox EV, we had one sitting in our driveway. We had a press loan for the Equinox EV, all-wheel drive, RS trim with Super Cruise. So we were testing it out for a whole week. I'm writing an article for Girls Guide to Cars. This is all still in progress because it's so fresh. But he suggested this, and we had the weird opportunity that it was like in our driveway. So suddenly this thing that's in our driveway is a potential, financially an excellent potential too. And so we spent the rest of the week, I think we literally had only had it for a day when he suggested it, because it arrived on Tuesday.
And he suggested on Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
Yeah.
So suddenly the next, almost week, and I think we got an extra day because of the holiday, we were thinking about it realistically. And it was sitting in our driveway, including thinking about Super Cruise. And we even used Super Cruise to drive up to LA from North County, San Diego. Our friend Matt came with us. We did like a little group road trip up to Radwood, which is an 80s, 90s car festival. It was really, really fun. But I think that is what helped you decide that we didn't need Super Cruise necessarily.
That was one of the factors, because it did a great job on the way up, and then on the way back, it kept canceling so much. I was like, this thing is useless. Which is sort of interesting, because we had a Bolt before with a Super Cruise on it for a week. And driving around in the Equinox, it was doing well. And then that trip home, I was so frustrated with it. But overall, it's done really well, hands-free with the lane changes and automated lane changes. It was doing great, but we really came to the conclusion as well. It adds a lot of cost. It's about $2,700 to add that to a Bolt, and of course you have to find one that it already has it on there.
Equinox.
A Bolt, an Equinox, and then that just means it's added per month. And we have Blue Cruise on our Mach-E, and I felt like we didn't need to add that expense to another vehicle. That we have one car. If we're doing like a long road trip, we'll probably take the Mach-E. So we didn't necessarily need it. We were really intending on this to be like our around the town vehicle. We may take it up to LA, which we actually did for the LA Auto Show. So that was the reason why we didn't want to add an extra cost and be, you can only use one at a time. So if we're gonna.
Now, however, when you do lease it, the trims that come with Super Cruise come with it included for 3 years, I believe. So if we had been able to find one that had it that wasn't more expensive, potentially we would have done it, but we couldn't. So the availability and the offerings were, our goal was to get it as affordable as possible, because that's a big thing for us. Like, we're not just getting a car for content and cycling it out. And we really, really debated on should we have Super Cruise, and would that be helpful for you guys and everything. But the cost extra for us, we didn't want to do it just for content. You know what I mean?
For us, as well as for a lot of people out there, we wanted to be realistic and say, if it's an extra $20 a month or $40 a month or $60 a month, that's still a decent amount of money, especially as low of pricing as we were going. So we were trying to go for one of the lowest cost EVs that we could find. Once we decided that, we didn't 100% decide, but, once we were leaning toward leasing, it was let's find one of the cheapest deals that we can find. And we can go ahead and get into, we looked at the Ioniq 5, the Ioniq 6, briefly. The deals weren't quite as good on that. The EV6, and of course, Mach-E, as well as Model Y. And it was sort of astounding, the differences in prices. One of the dealers I remember, because we were trying to negotiate, and I'm like, you're not anywhere close to what we need. And they almost took offense to that. And they're like, well, what deal are you getting? And so I sent them the deal that we were about to do on the Equinox. It was the response back was wow. if I may ask, why haven't you, that's a great deal. Why haven't you done it yet? And I was like, well, we're doing it this afternoon unless you can beat it. And they, at that point, they shifted into the fact that they were trying to, and I'll say it was a Kia dealer, of why the EV6 is a better car than the Equinox, which, it was a bit funny to me, overall, dealing with some of the dealers of them trying to pitch their car. And I'm like, we've driven the Equinox for a week, the Model Y for a couple of weeks. We've had an Ioniq 5 for a week. So we're sort of familiar with the cars, but it was interesting seeing them try to pitch them, including the Mach-E. And I'm like, yeah, we know. I think we know about a Mach-E.
Yeah. And so I think for me, the greatest contender was the Ioniq 5, the Hyundai Ioniq 5. And I'll just go get into the pricing. I've been texting with the Hyundai dealership for a while, and a couple of them, because in all honesty, I'd been looking at it for a while, right? We spent a week in the Hyundai Ioniq 5, the Disney edition. I knew that I enjoyed how it drove.
Why don't we say this deal?
Shall we say this deal?
This deal.
So as a by the by, the deal that Dominique found at a dealership like 40 miles from us, whatever, was $99 a month with $2,385 down before tax for an Equinox EV, a 2024 Equinox EV. So the total pre-tax was $4,761. The deal that we got was after tax $5,500 for 2 years, 10,000 miles, which is fine for us. So
per year, 10,000 per year.
10,000 per year,
which is what we were looking at in general. I know a lot of people will have to go higher than that. We got 13,500 per year on the Mach-E, and we're in a unique situation where we work from home, and to be quite honest, we do get quite a few press loaners, relatively significant number. So then we're not driving our car even then. So we're lucky that we can do low mileage leases. So that's a huge advantage for what we're looking at.
Yeah. And from what I understand, I think that people are able to negotiate the leases, the number of miles. So Chevy, should we describe the process?
Let's go into numbers and then we'll describe. But like, bottom line numbers first. So
bottom line numbers was $5,500 out the door. We paid single pay, because we were counting on getting, I was hoping to get a discount for the Mach-E being a lease. We have Ford options, and Chevy does offer money back or a discount on your lease if you are leasing another vehicle as well. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. So we were able to get the same price as long as we single paid, which we were fortunately able to do.
Yeah, it was a lot of negotiation. It was stacking some other deals like Costco. I'm a veteran, so they were able to stack that on.
Conquest, I think, in which you have another vehicle, a competitor in the home. If you have a Bolt, you get $3,000 off. So the Bolt discount at the moment is extremely significant. And actually, I think it's if you have had a Bolt, if you've had one, period. We have not had one. We tried really hard to get them to wiggle on that. They would not give us any of that.
Some of the discounts, rebates, they seem to be able to negotiate and help you out on. Some of them they can stack, some of them they can't. If you get to that point, you can, ask and have them show you, because we were like, hey, what about this other discount? And they're like, look, let me show you. And they showed me the system, and if they check that, it grays out the other discounts that we got. They're like, that shows us it's not stackable. Now, it's still a pain dealing with dealers. Didn't really enjoy the process at all. But let's go over some of the other numbers too, so you can sort of see why we went with the Equinox, and then we can go into details on that. So I want to start with the Mach-E, just because I know a lot of people are going to be like, why didn't you guys get a Mach-E? You're the Mach-E vlog. And, there was a little bit about it where if we get another Mach-E, we couldn't really do more content. So that's the only place where being YouTubers factored into this, but we even still thought like it would be nice to compare like a Mach-E GT to a Mach-E Select. So we did still consider it, and we love the Mach-E, and Liv loves the Mach-E. It's comfortable. So we did think about it, but the best deal that we could find on that around here was $5,000 down and $199 a month. And it was on the black Select Mach-E's that they had in stock. And I'm like, first of all, we didn't want black, but I was like, maybe we can work something out. So that would ended up being $9,776 total for that deal. And it was just sort of like
almost double.
Yeah, that's a lot extra. I think the Mach-E, they have the good leasing deals, but they also have a lot of good financing deals. So, and then also it's like we could have got the home charger install, but we didn't need that. So I think we could have got that maybe a little bit lower, but we weren't anywhere in the ballpark. So I was just like,
But they were sort of offering or showing the home charger install as a plus, which to us it wasn't necessarily.
And there's a cash alternative if you don't do that.
Oh, right. How much?
But it would have been like $1,000 or maybe $2,000. I think we could have, but that still is like, it's not even in the ballpark. And wasn't, like I said, again, this is where they would have to have beat the Equinox, because we're going to try to make content on this.
And I'm going to be totally honest. The Mach-E to me is still the prettiest car out there. It's still the prettiest EV out there. I love the Mach-E. It looks amazing. And leasing another vehicle for 2 years doesn't change that. I think for me, EVs are really cool, and I'm interested in testing something else out, right?
Yeah.
And like we have an affordable, a cost-effective way to do that. I won't say affordable, but like we found the cheapest way to do that, to test something else out. Because if we can give you our impression on the Mach-E and all of this cool stuff and the whole system, then being able to have a comparison long-term is really helpful too. And we will, if we want to cover any Super Cruise stuff or whatever like that, we can request something from the press fleet here. So if you guys have an interest, we can definitely get something and then do some testing. Hopefully if they let us, but we'll ask.
See. The other one that I wanted to mention, being Mach-E people, is a lot of people are like, what about the Model Y? Because they always ask us why we didn't choose the Model Y over the Mach-E. And I literally, like, I heard that they have come out with some better leasing deals in the past week or so. So I went this morning even and checked, because even when we were looking, it was the same deal. But basically for a Model Y, it's $3,000 down and $400 a month. So that would have been $12,600. Actually, the most expensive out of all of the options that we were considering.
A Bolt. It's a Bolt. It's a used Bolt.
Yeah. $12,600 for 2 years at 10,000 miles. So a lot of people talk about how cheap the Model Y is, and I think if you do some of their financing, it can come out pretty good. But there was just absolutely, like, that was like not even really got into consideration. And this is where, like, I hated dealing with the dealers, but there was no, like, I couldn't call Tesla up and go like, hey, can I speak to the local manager and negotiate a better deal? And do you have this rebate and that rebate? Although I do think they have some stuff now, like if you're a veteran and stuff. But again, it's like at $12,600, I was like, even if we could go like, hey, let's apply a veteran's discount, that might be $1,000 off. That's still double what this one was. Which one do you want to do next? EV6 or?
Sure. Yeah, I was just looking at the EV6 because and Patrick got the pricing on that. So I was like, oh, $6,550. That's not bad. Oh, that's down.
Yeah.
So the EV6 was $6,550 down, $188 a month. So the total of that was $11,062.
And the Kia dealer was interesting, and Liv did negotiations with all the Chevy dealers. I took on the Kia dealer, and it was interesting because I was like, hey, we're looking at the EV6, and we want like your best, cheapest deal. And it was sort of it took like almost a full day of texting back and forth. And then they finally came back with their deal, and it was way higher than what this was. I should go back and look that up. But then I was like, well, what about this? And I sent him a screenshot from the Kia website that says like, this is the deal that's being advertised. And it was like, oh, well, you should have mentioned that national deal. If you want that, it's the numbers that he gave me. And I'm like, well, first of all, it says 4,000 down. He goes, yeah, well, if you look at the fine print, that doesn't include taxes and fees. So that's why it's 6,500 down. And that's the best you're going to get from anybody. That's the absolute best. And that's when I, was like, well, this is what we're looking at from Equinox, the Chevy Equinox deal.
And then he said, well, that's a great deal. Why don't you get that?
Yeah. So it was sort of interesting with the Kia dealer, going like, what's your best deal? And of course, not giving us anywhere close to that. And just how pricey it ended up being. So we're just talking about the financial. We'll then next get into like some of the differences in the cars and why we really like the Equinox. And then let's see, the Mach-E. Ioniq 5, because you looked at that one. We didn't really get far with the Ioniq 5.
So the Ioniq 5, the deal is, and this has been for a while, I really like the Ioniq 5. Honestly, I probably would have picked it over this if it had been the same price. Absolutely, in a heartbeat. I thought it was a great car to drive, but I just couldn't justify half again the amount of money, right? It was almost $8,000 versus $5,500.
Because it was 4,000 down, 159 a month, 7,815, and I believe that 4,000 is just like with Kia. That's without taxes and fees.
Oh, so maybe more.
So it would have been another couple thousand taxes and fees potentially.
And that is on the SE standard range. So that is like 220 miles of range. I've been reaching out actually to the Kia dealer for months, just by the way, because I started looking at that a while ago. We've been reaching out to dealers here and there for a while. I even reached out to the Chevy dealer, literally the same dude who did the lease for us, to try get my dad in a Bolt. And the pricing, by the way, of the Bolt back then, it was back in February or something, way higher than what than what we're in right now. It was a lot higher.
It was right after they re-added the tax credit availability for the Bolt. So they knew that, it wasn't getting the $7,500, and all of a sudden it was getting the $7,500 tax credit on January 1st. So like every single Chevy dealer that we were talking to insisted on adding $3,500 plus in add-ons like paint protection, nitrogen in the tires, alarm system. And they were refusing to take any of that off, except when I called a friend of a friend, and they recommended a dealer in Irvine, and they said, yeah, absolutely, we can do that. But every other one was just like, nope, you have to get paint protection. Even on a brand new one that's not even on our lot yet, we're going to do it no matter what. So it was like, I'm sort of glad we didn't do it back then.
Oh, I'm really glad we didn't. Yeah. So we've been like, getting to know the dealers around the area for a while. But the Ioniq 5, I'd been messaging a couple dealers, and so the SE standard range is what qualifies for the 159, 3,999 down. If you do the SE not standard range, it was 3,999 down and 189 a month. And I know that the not standard range, it's still under 300 miles, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's now that we're getting out of the financial part of like, why did we pick these, pick the Equinox? And one of the things is the 319 miles of range. It's like the lowest cost, over 300 mile range, compact crossover that you can buy. And
it's weird that it's compact though.
Yeah, well, we did look at the Ioniq 9 yesterday or a couple days ago.
That's
so
true.
Yeah.
So by the way, the 2024 Equinox EVs, you had to get the front wheel drive to get 319 miles of range. The all wheel drive, I think, is 285 or something like that. It's just below 300. The 2025s, I think they're all the same. And they're all over 300, like 307, I think.
Yeah. And the Model Y, it would have been 337 miles of EPA range. So that would have been the only one that was really higher, but it was like so much more expensive. The Mach-E, of course, we were looking at like a rear wheel drive select around 250 miles of range. So it's really cool to have 319 miles of range. That was one of the biggest selling points for us, and sort of like justifying what we were doing as well, is that I think it's really cool. It's like when people are talking about like, I want at least 300 miles of range, but it costs so much. It's like, well, here's a good example. And we've tested it out. So we took this exact one to the LA Auto Show and we did 177 miles round trip. I started at 98%. I think we got home with 32%. Anyway, I forget the exact percentage, but we still had 98 miles of range. So basically 285 miles on a full charge at highway speeds, because it's basically all highway from between here and there.
And it was like 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour?
3.2 miles
3.2.
per kilowatt hour efficiency. And taking our Mach-E, we've done that exact same route multiple times. Usually 2.5, maybe 2.6 if we're lucky and there's a lot of traffic. If there's not a lot of traffic, we're about 2.4 in the Mach-E. So really efficient. It was a downer not having Super Cruise going up, especially with traffic. It does have lane keep assist as well as intelligent adaptive cruise control, not intelligent, adaptive cruise control. So it did help a bit, but it wasn't steering for me. So that was a bit of a downer, but it was really cool knowing like we could go all the way up there and all the way back. And then yesterday we went to Escondido from Oceanside and back, and we still had like 19% battery. So
yeah, it's really easy to get into with all of these EVs. Like, well, it's just a little bit more, and then we get blah or blah. But I feel like we had to keep reminding ourselves that like we really don't need much. We just need something extra for me that is comfortable for me to drive, which was the big deal with this car, which is so weird. This is not a small car. This is larger than the Mach-E, so it's so weird to me that I find this comfortable and easy to drive, but it drives like a car. You can adjust
and it's very sluggish compared to our GT.
It's sluggish. Yeah, you can coast a lot. And when I say it drives like a car, it's like it drives an ICE vehicle that you might be familiar with.
And you said coasting. So that's something that, if nothing else, eliminated Tesla is you cannot disable one pedal driving. And I love one pedal driving. I understand if you're like an EV advocate and you're like, you got to do one pedal. Liv, because of her situation, struggles with one pedal. So she just wants to turn it off. So that was one big factor that eliminated Tesla. And even in the beginning when we were looking at the Mach-E, as well as the door handles, sorry, but they're just dumb.
Yeah.
and it's like, for me, it's not that big of a deal. And the reason I say they're dumb is like, it's because Liv has some damage to her hand. So it makes it hard to open the door handles on Tesla. And I'm like, I just like these pop out. They're very easy. The Mach-E is very easy. Kia, Hyundai.
Yeah, in all honesty, like the Model Y is not really a consideration for me, but ultimately the lack of being able to turn off one pedal, big deal, and not having ergonomic door handles. The Equinox, the door handles pop out. They're just like one bar that you grab. So in my case, because I can only use these two fingers, the Teslas, basically, except for their more expensive ones, are very inaccessible for me. Additionally, I love the i3. The BMW i3 is such a cute car, but knowing that you can't turn off one pedal, and that unfortunately removes that from an option as well. So when we were looking at used EVs below 15,000, basically, there are a lot of i3s there, and that wasn't something that's available to me, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's been an interesting thing, like as always, like when you're looking at a car, of there's the stats on paper, but there's also things that are personal preference, whether it's color, ergonomics. The fact that this one doesn't have CarPlay or Android Auto is a big deterrent. And if it was our primary car, we're Android people, so the fact that it has Android Automotive, you would think is not that big of a deal, but it's still a bit frustrating, and we've run into some hiccups already that we'll have to dive into in another video. But there are some frustrations even as Android people with the Android Automotive car, and we're trying to figure out all the workarounds. So once we figure out all of that, we have tickets open with Chevy and Google on trying to fix some of the bugs. Otherwise, I love having Google Maps natively built in. So they're there's a lot to talk about, and that sort of goes to the fact of like, what content do you guys want to see, and what is okay to put on Mach-E vlog, and should we put a bunch of stuff on EV Explored? So what we're sort of thinking is we'll put, you know, some comparisons, some initial impressions on the Mach-E vlog, but when it comes to, you know, like how to get around, you know, the Android automotive stuff and figure that out, that's very specific to the Equinox, and we'll throw that over on EV Explored, I think.
Let us know. We don't know how to.
Yeah, like let us know how we should divide that up. We really are looking for input. Our hesitation in doing a lot on EV Explored right now is that we're not monetized. It's not like we make a ton of money on Mach-E vlog. We may make, you know, like on a video like this, $30.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter, but then at the same time, it's sort of like hard to do a video and then put it out on EV Explored and we'd make $0. So if you guys go subscribe, that helps us out. We may be able to put a bunch of more stuff and a bunch more EV agnostic stuff, or brand agnostic.
Which you guys know we love all EVs. So that's stuff that we've always shared on Mach-E vlog. This is uncharted territory for us. And whilst the Mach-E is our vehicle and this is a lease, it's still weird now having two different EVs. I did not intend to get something that was so similar to the Mach-E in size
and color.
The color is great. I love the riptide blue.
It's actually funny because we were going to come film and we're leaving the house, and I just like hopped in the car with Liv, and I'm like, all right, let's go. She goes, weren't we taking both cars? I was like, oh yeah, that's an option. So I got out and we brought the Mach-E over here too so that we could do the side by side. So it's like, it's fun being able to have both cars available.
Yeah. And so ultimately, why did I pick this, or why did we pick this? It's not always comfortable for me to drive cars. Like sometimes I get in things and it's not always comfortable.
Polestar 2.
Polestar 2.
Like one of the worst cars for you.
Absolutely,
like,
yeah.
That one, by the way, we have an old video if you want to go look back on the channel. And I still remember I took it out on a test drive. We pulled over at a park and I was like, all right, do you want to give it a try? And Liv got in, and literally within like 30 seconds, it's like, there's just no way I can drive this the way I need to position myself. So that was an absolute 100% no.
Yeah. So
and things like Tesla, it's like, it's hard to get in the door. That's a no.
Yeah. So for me, it's not, and maybe I should share this with you guys more. I don't know. But like, because I'm a right leg amputee, because I have a drop foot on my left side, and I drive with my left leg, it is often not comfortable for me to drive, especially initially. I have to get used to something. Sometimes it's as simple as like the brake is a little higher or a little lower, and the accelerator is a little closer or a little further away. Whatever it is, it's just like a little bit of a tweak that makes it that cars aren't automatically comfortable to me. So when I get in something and it's automatically comfortable, that's great. And this was automatically comfortable. I took my dad out to go pick up some fast food, and he's like, how many times have you driven the fast food? It was sushi. What am I saying? He's like, how many times have you driven this? And I'm like, twice. It's like, well, it seems like you've been driving it for weeks or months. And that's not typical for me because I have to get used to a vehicle so much. So just the specific way that this is laid out, there's a big, the center console is quite large, but it's not invasive to me. You wouldn't necessarily think that it would be comfortable and easy for me to drive, but it is. And so I had to go with that. The only other car that, once again, I'll say I liked more was the Ioniq 5, but for some reason that was a titch less comfortable for me. And I think we discovered it's because the seat's longer. Was that it?
Yeah, it's harder to bend your leg.
It's harder to bend my leg out of the way. But if it had been the same price as this, I still probably would have done it. But really it's ultimately the fact that this is comfortable to me. And that's something that I think we both enjoy sharing with you guys, is trying to express how things feel to drive. What is it like? What is it like for us uniquely in both of our situations and in both of the ways that we like to drive, because we're all different, and that's okay. And you might get in something that someone else loves and you totally don't.
And I think the front wheel drive, it's sluggish compared to the all wheel drive, which is sluggish compared to our GT Mach-E. And it's like a great reminder that some people literally have zero interest in how quickly the car accelerates. Obviously, you still have the instant torque and things like that. So
Oh, yeah.
it isn't like sluggish like a 1998 RAV4, but it makes it easier for Liv to drive, and it's not like, it's not everybody cares. And so this is sort of like a great car for people that just want to get from point A to point B. They're not trying to win any race or anything like that. Everybody, I've seen people going like, all cars should be able to do 0 to 60 in less than 5 seconds nowadays. And I'm like, do we really need that? Really?
No, and we get to determine what things are important to us. So in our case, for the second vehicle, the most important thing was price and comfort. And when I say comfort, I mean comfort of me as a driver, right? So we got the price. We got something that's comfortable to drive, which is so weird to me because it's huge. But in a way, my dream cars, the tiny little SUVs, they're not here. America's not getting them. We're not getting them yet,
Oh, and that reminds me, though, is like one of the reasons that we went with the 2-year lease, it should have been in the financial section, was maybe, but it was like we wanted to do a 2-year lease because we are hoping that in 2026 there will be some more options. Maybe a Kia EV3, maybe we'll be close enough to where the low-cost Ford EV is out, or at least we know details about it. There may be some other options out there. Maybe the new Bolt. Liv is really excited by the potential for a Bolt. And then because we have this one, maybe we'll get a great deal on the new Bolt. So that's another factor for us in why the 2-year lease was appealing, which is also why we were thinking about going with something used. Because like if you buy something that's like $15,000, it's lost all the depreciation already. So maybe in 2026 you sell it, you're only losing a couple thousand. So that's one of the things we thought about, like would have been a win for a used one. Maybe overall cost after 2 years would have been lower, but having something that's leased means it's also new and under warranty, and things will just be taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. So ultimately, like, my dream car isn't here yet. I've been waiting for that small EV. The Rivian R3X is my dream. Maybe down
Just
the line.
R3 for you.
I know, well, the
See?
X for the aesthetics. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the aesthetics. But the Rivian R3 is literally my dream, absolute dream car. Maybe it'll be an R2, but I used to think that was too big for me. But maybe this will get me used to something larger. The tiny car of my dreams isn't here. Of course, we have the Volvo EX30, which wasn't going to be coming yet, but now they are shipping the dual motor. Is that it? Mm-hmm. Which is not what we want. We want the cheaper anyway. So it's like it's always in the future that perfect car is coming. It's not here. Don't know where it is or when it's going to be here. But in the meanwhile, this is a great option. It's a great price. We have this Equinox EV, name pending. I don't know if EV Shaka is perfect. I had a name like sort of planned out for whatever my first specific one was, but it's a bit too weird for this, maybe.
Yeah, no, this feels very much like something other than the bright blue color that you would pick up off of a like a Hertz. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles, but it's functional. And has the good range that I'm really excited about. I don't think we're going to do a range test on this, but I think we already sort of figured it out. It's great. It's good enough for around town. If we're going like to Vegas, we may take it to Vegas. Let us know. Should we take this to Vegas? Because we did the Mach-E, we've done a Model Y to Vegas. Should we do the Equinox? That means I'll have to drive the whole way. But it would be an interesting comparison. By the way, we have supercharged this. In fact, while they were doing the financing stuff, the salesman was going to take it over to EV Go, and I was like, hey, let's go next door to the supercharger and just make sure it works, because we want to make sure it has the software update that enables that, and it worked. So yeah. Supercharging works on this. That was a nice plus, although we may never ever DC fast charge this.
I mean, if we take it to Vegas, which in all honesty, I think we probably should, but you guys will have to let us know. By the way, dealing with the dealers, in the whole process of dealing with various dealers, it's a very rambly video. Don't worry, we have some more like precise stuff planned. But dealing with all the different dealers, some were very unwilling to communicate remotely. So like I found that the Hyundai dealers were, the ones that I spoke with were like, you have to come in. You have to come in. When can we talk about this? And what I found was there were multiple Chevy dealers that I was able to say, like, I'm not coming in. Tell me your pricing. Are you willing to match this offer? Do you have this in stock? Whatever it is, actually the stock part I could just look at. But like, let's work this out and see like if you're actually an okay dealer before we ever come in. Like when we actually did go in to lease the vehicle, I was like, we don't have to lease anything today. So we probably should have been like more definitive. Like obviously you're going in and they're going to get you. But it was nice that we could communicate ahead of time and be like, will you take this stuff off? Will you give us this amount? And blah, blah, blah.
So we, on a related note, a few months ago, we were looking at potentially upgrading our Mach-E to a Mach-E Rally. Just couldn't make the numbers work, but it was sort of the same thing. And it was funny because like the dealer's like, when do you want to come in and take a look at it? I was like, I've already, I know what it drives like. And it was like, okay, well come on in and you can take it out for a test drive. And I literally sent them our Mach-E Rally video from Dirtfish Rally School. And I was like, that's us. We know what the rally is all about. And then it was like, oh, cool video. Here, let me send you some numbers. So, but it literally took that. And it was like with the Equinox, it was like, yes, we know what it's like. There's one in the driveway right now. So yeah, but we managed to get, the one dealer I spoke with was just sending me texts of like, here's a link to an offer page. And like, here you can look at the window sticker, the Monroney, and here is the leasing option. Thank you to that dealer. I didn't end up going with them because they were like way further away for us. But like, I really do appreciate that. I'm always going to think about them as an option because they were so willing to just be clear. Because you also know like when you go there, they're going to get you. They're going to get you. Well, it's like they want to have you sit there and not be, because we're like, I was like straight up. I'm like, look, we're negotiating with multiple dealers right now. And we're not going into your dealership because if we do that, we're like tied up. But it was really frustrating, especially, and I think one of them was actually the Ford dealer. They kept on saying like, we will get you the best deal. When do you want to come in? And then it was like, okay, I got the best deal for you. And I'm like, well, what is it? Because it's the best deal. And I'm like, but what is it? Mm-hmm. And it was like numerous times where it was just like these stupid games. And I was like, just give me the best deal. And comparing that, by the way, to when we bought the Mach-E, we bought a first edition and then we upgraded to the GT. When we did those, we did it online. We used X-Plan, so we knew that we were getting the discount, which is only like less than $1,000, but we knew that. So it was like there was like no negotiation. For both times, I just said, by the way, we will not take delivery of the car if you add anything to it. And the response back was like, okay, no problem. So it was very, very simple and easy. And we knew what the Ford options was going to be. In fact, on the GT, like we went through and set up all the financing before we went to the dealer, except the online thing couldn't deal with the X-Plan. So like I knew what it was without X-Plan. I had to like finish it there. But it was a great seamless process. And I hope Ford continues making that because I think that's one of the things that Rivian and Tesla excel at. Although it was nice being able to go like, can we stack this Costco discount with the veterans discount with the competitor discount and negotiate that way. So anyways, I think I'm almost done. Are you almost done?
Well, and I will say, by the way, we'll shout out the dealership that we used. They were, if you go to Costco Auto and you put in all your things, Costco is just currently offering $1,000 off Chevy EVs.
I think EVs, yeah. I think it's...
Yeah. So this offer comes and goes. I think it hasn't been here for like 6 months or something. So it's currently here until January maybe. So temporary offer, go to Costco and like get this certificate. So you have to actually go get it. So also it will recommend a dealership to use. And that is the dealership that we used, but that's not necessarily why. I was already in communication with them, and they were one of the more communicative. Different salespeople have different vibes, and I don't always vibe with all of them. But it's near to us, and they seemed good, and we will keep you informed on like how it goes. I've never leased a vehicle. I don't know how this works. I've never had a new car.
By the way, it was Premier Chevrolet.
Yeah.
In Carlsbad. I don't think we actually said their name.
No, I was gonna.
They ended up being really nice to deal with, and didn't give us a lot of runaround. And then like we were like, will the Ford options count as a lease? And they were like, well, we're gonna try. And then like when I actually showed them the document, it says a retail contract, not a leasing contract. And he goes, I don't think we can do that, but let me see what we can do. And they didn't give us the leasing deal, but they got pretty close to it. So it might have all been a little bit BS, but I felt like it was pretty on the up and up overall. So, you know, and I did want to mention, if you aren't a Costco member, you can sort of say like, hey, I have the Costco discount. They don't actually need the certificate until you're really doing the financial paperwork. So you can negotiate with a Chevy dealer, and I think they have like some other deals with like Hyundai, for example, but you can negotiate with whatever dealer if you're not a Costco member. And then when you're like, okay, let's go do it, you could literally sign up with Costco and then print out the certificate. So you don't have to like just go get the membership until you're ready.
Yeah, as long as it's like within their window or whatever. So yeah, it was Juan and Alex.
Yep.
Juan ultimately helped us at that dealership. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but it's always very intimidating. It's like, always. I've gotten one used car in my life, and the Mach-E was a very different experience. But you know, maybe you guys are the same. How many cars have you gotten? Are you totally used to this stuff? You know, we see people getting cars just like left, right, no big deal. I find this very intimidating and very scary, and it's a big commitment. Now you have this big thing that you're going to take care of. So stuff we want to be honest about and share. And like, some people chill about it, some people aren't. But we're going to take you guys along for the adventure of leasing both of our first vehicles, because we've never leased before.
Yeah, I've never leased before. I always thought it was dumb, but for this situation, it works out really well. I normally, especially with the financing deals, like on the Mach-E right now, you can do up to 60 months, I think, with 0% financing. I think it actually might be 72 months, 0%. And then even after that, like 84 months, I think is 1.9, which is very tempting with the 2025s coming out. Look at our 2025 Mach-E videos. But yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to go. Relax and think about what content we're going to make.
Yeah, so by the way, some things that like I really want to share with you guys are why we picked this. Like, there are a couple like my favorite things about the Chevy Equinox EV, and they're also very honestly my least favorite things. And because we had it in our driveway when it was suggested to us, we kind of knew about them already, you know? So we were like able to soak it in and be like, I hate this, but it'll be okay, you know, or whatever it is, or I love this feature. So there's only good and bad. So we're definitely going to share that stuff. Comparisons between this and the Mach-E. Certainly do that. Let us know what other stuff you're interested. We are still the Mach-E vlog. We still run the Mustang Mach-E Club of America. We love the Mach-E. We are so psyched about all EVs in general, and we want to hear about like what you're driving, what you're interested in driving, all that good stuff. A huge thank you to our patrons whose names are scrolling across the screen right now. We appreciate you guys so very much. And also our YouTube members, you will know them by the lightning bolts next to the name, and the fact that they have the ability to use fancy pony emojis whenever they want, like right now. And on that note, this is so weird. Just remember that whatever you drive, whether it is an Equinox EV
or a Mach-E over there,
enjoy the ride.
Bye.
Bye.